So you want to learn Korean, but you don't know where to start, or you're advanced and you just want to get some tips on how to continue learning. My name is Marlon Alistair, and I feel fluent in Korean now after 2.5 years of learning. And today I want to talk about some tips of how to learn Korean and how I personally learned Korean, and things that could help you as a beginner, intermediate, or advanced learner. 여러분 안녕하세요. 저는 말렌이라고 하고요. 한국어 배운 지 2년 반이나 되었는데 오늘은 몇 가지 초급, 중급, 고급에 대한 한국어 배우는 팁을 알려드리겠습니다. 앞으로 계속 영어로 말할 건데 제가 한국말을 할 수 있는지 조금 보여주고 싶어서 어쨌든 시작합시다. I want to start off by talking to my beginners because all language learners start off at the very beginning of barely even learning how to count or the new lettering system of a language, specifically Korean has Hangul. I want to say don't overwhelm yourself with the over-purchasing or overindulging in the beginning stages of language learning. First, you want to even see if you're interested in to continue learning Korean before you overbuy tons and tons of material. And really great ways that you can do that is by starting learning the alphabet, specifically Korean alphabet, in so many free ways you can do this. There's so many YouTube channels that have very short videos that you can learn how to pronounce and write Korean. And you can practice that for just a week if you feel like that is something that you really want to get down. But personally, I feel like that is something that most people could learn within a day. Of course, you can take time to refine it and learn how to really pronounce things or really get things done well with the alphabet, but you do not need to buy a book for that. You can find so many online resources that will not overwhelm you at the beginning. First, put your feet in and see how you feel about language learning. Don't just go straight into buying tons of books, because I have met tons of people that have done that and regret it. They end up giving up the language. Next, I would say apps like HelloTalk, where you can see feeds of people talking about language learning, are super helpful. This is an app that I don't use nowadays, but I know a lot of advanced users still use. But when I first started learning Korean, it helped me with learning a lot of beginner vocabulary. A lot of people are worried because they've heard that it's kind of become like a dating app or something. You don't need to talk to people. You don't need to reach out or message anyone. I kind of just used it as like a news feed and just kind of read it and read it and read it, and like there's a lot of English on there as well, but there's translation that you can see and read. Next, I would say is the language books I would recommend are the Yonsei University language learning books. They start off quite slow with learning the alphabet, and then you go quicker and quicker and quicker on learning grammar, and inside those grammar you will learn vocabulary and so many other things. There's audios that go with it, there's writing books, there's reading books, there's things that go alongside with the series that will help you do wonders in learning at the very beginning. This is personally the book that I recommend the most. I love this series so much. I like it so much more than Talk to Me in Korean because I feel like it gets to the point way quicker. Another thing I would say is for beginner listeners, I would suggest podcasts like the Talk to Me in Korean podcast or the SpongeMind podcast. These are really good materials for language learners, and they give you so many tips and ideas and conversations in Korean. I used those a lot when I first started learning Korean. And the biggest tip I would say is to learn things you are interested in first. Because if you are learning a language, you will want to talk about your personal interests, you will want to talk about your hobbies, and it is something that will give you interest to continue to learn the language. If you like gaming, you can learn gaming vocabulary, or if you like music, you can learn musical vocabulary. These are things that I did. I was learning a lot of music vocabulary or a lot of gaming vocabulary or slang. I was learning those at the very beginning because it gave me a drive to continue to learn Korean. I want to keep going on. I want to talk to my intermediate learners now. Something that really helped me when I first started learning Korean was to change my phone and to change my computer into Korean. And to this day, they're still both in Korean because I just got so used to it now. This helped me with the immersion, and it helped me with learning simple words like copy or settings. These are words that I had a little bit of difficulty learning when I was just learning it from the book, but when I saw it on an everyday basis, I learned it so quickly, and it was something that really made a difference. You can always switch it back. It's very easy. Next, as an intermediate learner, speaking, you have to get the words out of your mouth. You're going to do a lot of reading, a lot of writing, but getting the words out of your mouth is going to be quite difficult, especially if you're not living in Korea. So I would say reach out to a language partner if you can find somebody online, such as HelloTalk, like I just talked about earlier, or if you don't want to spend money, or you don't want to find someone, you're an introvert, you don't really want to talk to somebody like I was. I personally did not do a lot of that at the very beginning because I was nervous about how I would sound. So what I would do is I would talk to myself. I would go on runs and I would just talk about my surroundings. I would say, oh, that car is green, or the stoplight just turned red. Those people need to be careful. I would say those things to myself as I was running around. Talking to yourself, even though it may sound a bit silly, it was so useful for me, and I still do it to this day because it just became a habit. It's a really big tip that I love to do, and I still do now. Then as well, if you have time, I would say immersion in Korea would be the biggest step for intermediate learners. So if you have the time to come to Korea and do a language school, I will put some of the resources down in the description so you can look at the website and see if these programs are for you. You can get a visa to stay in Korea. It does cost about $1,200 per semester, which is 10 weeks, including the school and the visa. So you can make the decision on your own, but I will put the resources in the bottom. But that is something that changed my life, and I will forever be grateful for those experiences because I just love language school, and I wish that I could do it again and again. And I want to do it again for another language coming up soon. So we'll see if that happens. But so for advanced listeners, you've went through all of everything that I said before. You've gotten to a point where you feel like, okay, I feel confident, but I don't know if I would say I'm advanced, or I don't know if I have the confidence to take national testing. I would say one of the biggest things that helped me was reading real life content such as news or books. The books don't even have to be difficult. I read a lot of Korean fairy tales when I was first learning Korean because it helped me not only with vocabulary, but it helped me with the culture, learning Korean culture and the stories that go behind people's childhood, and so many onomatopoeias and things that you would never have learned in the classroom. And then watching things with no subtitles. No Korean, no English, no subtitles at all. I started doing this with like Masked Singer or just things that were on TV, the news that was on TV, and I feel like this has helped me with my listening a lot because I would rely on the subtitles a ton, and I prefer subtitles on videos sometimes, but when it comes to language learning, I don't want to rely on anything, because when I'm out in the real world and I'm talking to a friend or I'm talking to the immigration office, I don't have subtitles, so I want to push that comfort zone, and I want to get out of that comfort zone so that I can learn or speak Korean outside of just my room. Next that I would say TOPIK is the nationwide Korean language test. It's a really big driving force for a lot of language learners, but you don't have to take it. There's a lot of online material. There's a website that has all the old previous tests that you could take yourself if you don't want to necessarily pay the fee, but you just want to test your ability, or you want to study the material. Here's the website. I'll put it on the screen now. It is a really, really good website for practicing for TOPIK or just for learning material from Korean, advanced Korean in general. But it's really hard. It's difficult. The highest I got was level 5 TOPIK, which is high, but my goodness, it is hard. But overall, for beginners, intermediate, advanced, I just want to say, do not be so hard on yourself. I had so many times where I would wonder, am I in the intermediate yet? Am I in the advanced yet? Am I conversational yet? Am I proficient yet? There's so many words and labels that go into language. But the most important thing when language learning is to have fun, because if you're not having fun and you're just stressing yourself out for no reason, then it's not going to be fun and you're going to want to give up more than when you're learning things that you enjoy or testing yourself, not making it a competition, because language learning should never be a competition. Don't worry about the things that you don't know so much, because there's going to be things that you don't know. Even in your native language, there's going to be things that you don't really speak well about. But if you can focus on things that you do know, refine those, you will get so much more confidence in your language learning, and that will give you confidence to continue learning. But those are my biggest tips for learning Korean. I hope to make another video going soon. If you have any questions about learning Korean, let me know, and I'll see you next time.